During working at Woolworths, there was an ongoing thing for quite some time, and it definitely wasn't something I wanted to put up with, but I felt like I had no other choice in the matter. There was a certain time there where there was a young girl who had just become a supervisor. Before she even started working at my work, I was already a supervisor. When she started working there, she was really nice and polite and respected all the staff that were above her. After all, she was just a checkout chick. But when she got her promotion, she eventually became really stuck up and very bitchy. The nice girl I used to know disappeared. Now I had this girl with attitude, but the weird thing was, she always seemed to pick on me about the way I did things, and always seemed to disagree with my opinions and options. She never did this with anyone else, even though I was the supervisor on particular shifts. This chick would want to take over my responsibilities for that day and make me stay on the registers and serve. When it got quiet, I told the other worker that I was designated supervisor for that shift, and she should have been on the checkout serving. She didn't like that at all, and decided to get angry at me. She told me that she should be supervisor because she could do with some more training, but she didn't need more training. She just wanted to get out of serving. It actually got to the point that she would make everyone else serve but herself. She wanted to stand at the desk doing paperwork instead, or spot check the tills. All that was my job, not hers. I couldn't be bothered arguing with her, so I just stayed on the express lane serving customers until it was time for me to go home. The next day, I went back into work and I spoke to my manager about the other worker. The manager then turned around and asked me if I was just going to let her walk all over me. My mouth then dropped. Come on, look, I told her she should have been serving and not supervising, and she got angry and still refused to do what I'd say. Well, you need to be more harder on her, or if you can't hack being harder on the staff or being in a stressful situation, then I'll have to put you back as an operator. My heart sank. I guess I was going to have to be tougher on her. To be honest, I didn't want to deal with her at all. A week later, my manager wanted to have a meeting with me and the store manager. I got anxious. What was this about? We sat in the manager's office and I was then informed that there was some complaints made about me. Apparently that other worker had been telling my boss that I wasn't doing my job properly. They went through a list of things. Some were true, yes, but the rest were all blown out of proportion. I tried to explain everything that had happened with every situation, but it was hard to remember everything all at once. The managers decided they had no choice but to take me off supervision and also lower my hours. This chick was going to take most of my hours, I bet. So effective immediately, I was no longer a supervisor. But you know what? I started to not care. I didn't want the responsibility and the stress if they weren't going to take my side on things. Over the next few weeks, the other workers sure enough took 2 of my supervision shifts, and I was now the operator working with her. This actually made my blood boil. I didn't want to work with her. When it came down to it, she pretty much rubbed it in my face that I got demoted. She made me feel worthless. She always had an attitude with me, but yet everyone else, she was nice to. What was her problem with me? I asked her once and for all, "What is your problem with me?" She simply said, "I don't like you, and I got what I wanted." Right, okay, so you got what you wanted. Why don't you treat me like everyone else instead of like this? I just said I don't like you. Yeah, and just because you don't like me doesn't mean you can bully me and make me feel worthless. You used to like me, why not now? Look, it doesn't matter. Just don't, okay? I'm done talking with you. I kept serving until the end of my shift. She didn't even let me have a tea break. I was fuming, and I was glad I could get out of there now. The next time my manager was on, I pleaded with her to not put me on with the other worker anymore, because she was bullying me. My manager said that we worked well together, and no one else was available to be the operator on those shifts. I then said if she couldn't find anyone else, I just wouldn't turn up for those shifts. My manager looked at me horrified. I told her I was serious and I didn't want to put up with it anymore. I then started to have an anxiety attack. And then the duty manager seen, she came and took me out the back into the lunchroom. We talked about the whole situation, and she said that she would have a word to my manager and the store manager about it. There should have been a zero tolerance to bullying, but at that point in time, there wasn't. After having another meeting with the managers, my shifts were swapped around, so I didn't have to work with that chick again. I was now working with one of the other supervisors that actually always treated me with respect. I was a lot more happier now, and eventually I got my hours back and my supervision back.